share your name and your role on the board, LSC board, that'd be great. Principal Gibson.
Kimberly Gibson, Principal at Harriet Tubman. Good evening, everyone.
Lori.
Laura Beats, Parent Rep. Can you hear me okay?
And is there an echo? I just want to make sure. Do I have an echo? Okay. All right. Cindy.
Cindy Watola, Parent Rep.
Kate. Is Kate? I don't think Kate is on yet. Okay. Nick.
Nick Hall, Teacher Rep.
Emily. Emily is on yet either. Okay. Kirsten.
Kirsten Clay, Parent Rep.
Mac.
Mac Laboon, Community Rep.
Sharice.
Sharice Brooks, Paraprofessional.
All right, so I don't see Kate yet here, and I don't see Emily yet here as well. Nick, did you get a chance to go ahead?
I just admitted Emily to the meeting, so she should be popping up. There she is.
Okay, good. Thank you. Nick, have you had a chance to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I did mine. I think it's just Emily. We're finishing up roll call.
Emily, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Emily Holbert, Teacher Rep.
Great, thank you. And Kate said that she was having internet issues, so she should be joining shortly. And my name's Sarah Ogato, and I am Parent Rep. Very good. Thank you. The agenda has been shared. Hope everyone had a chance to review it. And on the agenda, we can see what we have to tackle for this meeting today. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cindy. Any on a discussion for the motion, for the approval of the agenda? Okay, so we'll move to vote. Those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand via the Google feature. Okay. Sharice, okay, so I see 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Vote to approve. Okay, and then do we have any abstentions? And do we have any those who disapprove? Oh, we do have an abstention. I'm sorry, whose name was that? Okay, do we have any abstentions? Okay, Sharice, I didn't see your vote. Did you vote in favor of approving the agenda?
I did.
Okay, so that's unanimous. Very good. Thank you. Great. The meeting minutes have been shared for April. Thank you for putting those together and sharing them out. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes?
A motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Emily, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the meeting minutes. Any points of discussion, edits for our April 18th meeting minutes? I think I might have one. Sharice, is your name spelled correctly on those minutes? I see it as CHERISSE.
It's CHARISSE.
Sorry, Sharice.
No worries.
I'll fix it.
Thank you. And then also just Sika, is that the position on point 5 under the printer report? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth bullet. Is this a Sika as in an SECA position?
Yes.
Okay, so just want to clarify that. So I think we want to change that acronym from
Okay.
to SECA. SECA.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other points of discussion for the meeting minutes before we move to a vote to approve? All right, then for those who move to approve the meeting minutes, if you could raise your hands. That vote is unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Okay, let's move into the heart of our agenda.
Sarah,
Yeah,
before we move on, sorry, Sarah, I had a quick question because so we approved April 18th, which was the budget meeting. Do we still have minutes, and we can approve these next month, right? For the regular April meeting, and then also the open portion of the
I wasn't at that previous
principal eval.
meeting, so I don't know if anybody
Yeah.
took notes or minutes
Yeah.
at the meeting prior.
We have the recordings online for both. I just didn't know if there are meeting minutes. Maybe we can just see for next month because we have time to. We can do it next month just for the principal eval, the open portion of the meeting, and the regular April meeting. Just to
let's
make
put
sure
that
we
on
get
our
those.
our follow-up list to make sure that we're
Okay.
able to get those in order. And yes, Cindy, I did take notes for those minutes and I shared them. I just don't think there's been enough time to get those out. But we will make that those are out at our next meeting in June.
Okay.
The regular meeting minutes and the open portion of the principal evaluation. Yep. Thank you, Nick. Principal Gibson, I see your hands raised. Did you have a comment to make as well about the minutes? Okay.
No, sorry, I left my hand up. Thank you.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay, very good. All right. So, all right, let's move into our agenda, and I want to pass this over to you, Principal Gibson. Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back.
Committee updates.
Committee updates. I see it. Yeah, it's over. Committee updates. Is a committee want to go first? Go ahead, Lori.
Okay. So we had our Tubman Inclusive Education Supporters meeting last night. That was really successful. I feel like the group is really getting on the ground. We had other special guests. We had the Crystal Lumen, who's assistive tech teacher, came out to educate our parents, and we all set up some new goals for using assistive tech at our school. We were talking, I'm going to look at Sharice. We're talking about how wonderful our paras are, and we want to do a paraprofessional Sika support, what's the word? Support day, happy day. Yay! Appreciation Day. That's the word. Appreciation. We want to get that out there before the end of the year, and we are going to have try to get in a couple more meetings before the end of the year to schedule. We want to be able to get things on the calendar right away for next year, put on some special events, and then we had all those serious topics too, which I'm sure we're going to talk about more tonight about class sizes and how that might affect children with IEPs and 504s. So it was a really great meeting, and if you want to be involved, just reach out to us, and we would love to have you there.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. The Communications Committee?
Hi, sorry, getting phone calls from children. Yeah, Communication Engagement Committee. This is such a great committee. I just want to personally and publicly thank everyone that's working so hard. The main focus of the committee has been promotion and marketing of the school at this point while we're in the enrollment process. And Charlotte has done an amazing job on marketing materials and getting them on the web. We also, I think, had put together, and it's on the website, a promotional school presentation. And we're also hoping to utilize that for the remaining school tours as well, if that can be shown as an introduction to prospective families. Couple of questions that we have are, we're thinking about, is there any promotional monies available? Because Principal Gibson, do you get a budget for promotion for the school?
No.
There aren't any promotional monies, so all of that is done through fundraising? Okay, all right. So we're thinking of creating, how to promote and create banners that we would use annually for the school. Also, Ileana brought up that another school does a farmer's market during the summer on school grounds. And it's not a money-making thing, but it's just a really nice community thing. And we were wondering if and how we can make that happen at Tubman. So I don't know where we reach out first. If it's the alderman, if it's you, the chamber, just sort of thinking about doing that. We are also thinking, wanting to do Wednesday play dates after school. So starting on the 25th and then the 3 consecutive, because then that'll be it. That's like then 3 Wednesdays and then school's over. So wanted to promote that and have families kind of hang around while the weather's nice, and possibly do like a cart, like a treat cart where they can, like, I don't know, buy stuff for $1. And I think that we'd have to write a proposal to LSC for that, correct? I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. Ileana or anybody else on the call can chime in as well if I missed anything.
I think for the farmers market, we were gonna, I'm gonna talk to Patty. I mentioned it briefly to her, to talk to the connection we already have with the Lakeview neighborhood, whatever number. And then we could go from there and present it to Principal Gibson to see what it takes for the school. But I just thought of it as a community and neighborhood building thing that would be great for the families too. Current, prospective, our neighbors and everything, to help the school like get noted that we hold that farmers market there. I'm waiting to get like more info on how they went about doing it and getting it to happen from that other school I mentioned. So I'll share that with Patty, and then I think we could go from there and then present it to Principal Gibson and then to the LSC and go through the right channels.
Thanks, Ileana. Anyone else from the committee on the call? All right, that's it for communication and engagement. Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. I don't know if I had opened the floor for questions for you, Lori, when you were talking about the incredible work you're doing with ties. But I do want to make sure that I do open the floor not only for requests or comments about the community updates that Lori or Cindy have shared. I will also just quickly share that for equity and inclusion, the equity committee. Couple of things. One is, and I don't know if she's here, but I do want to give a shout out to Cynthia Shernoff, who has been working with our librarian and creating the first monthly inclusion display for AAPI. And I also give a shout out to our first grade parent, Susie Q, for just kind of arranging that display in the with new books. And so that was incredible. She had shared some pictures. Hopefully maybe we can get that up and posted on maybe the school website or the blast. But I thought that was just some really incredible work and a nice display about how we are creating welcoming spaces for our students here at Tubman. And then also, so another focus of the equity group is I mentioned healing spaces. Well, it's healing spaces, and so we are working through convening a three-part event cafe series. So that our next we meet every third Thursday. The link is in the is on the LSC website. But we'll be talking about the what is a parent cafe and getting some volunteers to be willing to be trained in that cafe to kind of have a structured conversation around healing space for Tubman. So that is the work of the equity group, and I will then just kind of open the floor for any questions or comments about community updates. Lori, I see your hand. But you're muted, Lori, if you're talking. Yeah.
I took my hand down, but I didn't do that thing. I feel very relaxed. I'm on deck. It's beautiful. So one of the things we were talking about last night at Ties was we are really working at. I really am very proud, you guys. I want everybody to know that the things that are happening, I feel like we've all picked up steam from communications and equity and friends of it. Everybody's doing such great stuff, and I'm seeing more and more. But then, of course, there's always more to do. So we do need more volunteers. We do need more faces in these meetings. So whatever we can do to make them accessible would be great. But I was realizing that as we're working in certain focuses, we don't have anything like a Gay Straight Alliance, anything for the kids, and starting to look at including that. So I don't know if that will fall under, is that someplace we start with equity and we make that down? But I kind of wanted to throw that out here in case there's any staff or families who are listening who would like to be a part of organizing that. So I would love to see that, like we have gender inclusive bathrooms and like how are we representing at our school and make sure that it is the best space that it can be for everybody. So I wanted to throw that out there. So if anybody wants to reach out and be a part of that, that would be excellent. I don't know the fancy name that we'll use or anything, but I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you, Lori. I do have a question for the communications committee. I have seen kind of the fruit of your labor as well, so definitely a shout out there in addition to the incredible work that Ties is doing. But I do have a follow-up question and a shout out. Once again, just thanks for that incredible work. It's not only in getting students to the school, but also welcoming them to the school, right? And that process and making sure that folks have the information they need to navigate the new year, the new school building. With that said, I think it was like last Tuesday, just wanted to, how did it go with kind of, did we have our welcoming event and was, I'm not sure if the committee was involved in organizing that, but I just wanted to see if there was an update on the kind of that orientation for new families.
I don't know, is Kim?
Maybe that's a Principal Gibson question we could ask later. Or I apologize. Okay, I will reserve that question to the point that we're. Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay. Any additional questions, comments on committee updates? Okay, great. So we'll move on, and I'll hand it over to you, Principal Gibson.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Before I begin the principal report, I just want to commend all three committees, the Ties Committee, the Communication, and the Equity Committee for the wonderful work you've done thus far. It has been a tremendous support to the whole Tubman School. And a special shout out to FOT for joining with us, celebrating our wonderful and amazing teachers at Tubman and staff. So thank all of you for those wonderful things. I shared my slide deck with Rebecca. Rebecca, can you share it, please? our mission. Our IB coordinators are both unavailable today. Rebecca, can you read the IB report for us, as well as the case manager report?
Sure, I would love to. Hi, everyone. Today's IB report. Our Tubman teachers have been involved in after-school planning this month. PYP teachers are updating and reflecting upon their units to ensure accurate documentation of teaching and learning in the PYP, while MYP teachers have been working on the MYP self-study in preparation for our IB MYP evaluation next year. In MYP, the community projects are concluding this month as students are sharing their actions and reflections with their peers. 8th grade community projects included collecting donations for Anti-Cruelty Society, raising awareness around mental health issues, and raising money to purchase blankets for the homeless. Students worked with Ms. McNally and Ms. Robertson to identify issues that were important to them with the goal of taking action in their community. We are very proud of their efforts. MYP community projects will be highlighted on the school website in the coming weeks. This is something that 8th graders work on every year with IB, and it's a really great process to watch. And so it's been great to see it back into action this year and seeing there's like signs all over the school and, you know, boxes that put up for collections. And so it's been really great to see that come back this school year. Our annual Tubman Gives Back Week was successful, providing students and staff opportunities to participate in community cleanups, writing birthday cards to children in homeless shelters, working on pre-K buddies to create signs for Earth Day, and creating dog cats toys for Anti-Cruelty Society. And also something that was just small that's not on here was 2nd grade did like a hey day, and it was nice that people had like their name tags, and so you could say hi to someone randomly in the building. And so that was something nice for just our school community to partake in. So that is the IB report. Oops, sorry. My case manager update is kind of small. Just so the few updates that I have, on Monday, we have a para who will be returning from student teaching. And so that is very exciting to have him back as our para for the rest of the school year. We have our monthly case manager meeting, which will be on Thursday, May 26th. And then, you know, as we are winding down the year, we are continuing to have 504 and IEP meetings until the last day of school. And then continuing to have our meetings with clinicians and the BHT team. And so that is my case manager update and IB update. Oh, sorry. All right, counselor updates. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening. For counselor updates, students are continuing with Naviance. With 6th grade, we're doing my goal for middle school. 7th grade, we're doing career cluster finders. I'm just really introducing them to the 16 career clusters. They take a survey, and then they can favorite 3 they like. 8th grade, it's just starting now with the high school knowledge, getting them ready for the high school process. So learning how to calculate GPA. We're going to practice unlocking locks for the lockers. Social emotional learning whole classroom lessons are continuing. iMessages for 3rd. Listening skills was in kindergarten. Resolving conflict we did in 1st, and coping skills for 2nd and 4th. And then just continuing a small group, an anxiety group, and then like a strong start group, and then continuing to do check-in, check-out with students. Thank you.
And I will talk about the personnel leadership committee, leadership committee. So our last PPLC meeting was a couple of weeks ago, and We had some parents in attendance, so that was very nice to see some parents come in and participate and ask questions. Our first order of business was the math curriculum that we've been looking at replacing or renewing for next year. And so, as you know from our past reports, Envision is the math program curriculum that we recommended adopting. So that has been adopted as our math curriculum for next year. And it has been budgeted for, as well as the PD that goes with it for all staff members. And we will be starting that PD in June. I know administration met with one of the representatives from Envision, I believe last week or earlier this week. Our next item of business was looking at our SEL curriculum, seeing what teachers currently use. There's a variety of programs, Second Step, Responsive Classroom, and other strategies and curriculum that staff uses school-wide. So we surveyed the staff on April 21st and kind of saw where they were at. For the fourth quarter, our staff is going to be exploring the digital component of Second Step. So Second Step is a curriculum we've used for the past, I believe, 4 or 5 years at Tubman. But this is the first time that we have had been given access to the digital component. So teachers are going to kind of test things out to see if it's something we want to renew and keep, or if it's something we want to move on from. And then Veronica Coloque, who is our network SEL specialist, attended yesterday's ILT meeting to talk about information that is, to present information on a variety of SEL curriculum options, those that are offered by the districts, those that would be free to us, those that would come at a cost, as well as meeting our professional development needs. There is need for or want for professional development in responsive classroom from many staff members. So that's something we are looking into and how the district and the network can support us. We briefly talked about our next goal, which would be starting next year, which is starting to look at literacy. As we know from the LSC meetings throughout the last couple of years, there has been some concern from our parent community about the various literacy curriculum we are using. So we're going to kind of use the same process we did for math. Obviously, we want to be thorough, so it's not going to be an immediate process, but we wanted to make sure to kind of get that in everyone's mind so that when we start in September, we're ready to really we have a plan to look at literacy curriculum. Our next meeting will be Monday, May 23rd at 3 p.m. and it is open to the public. And that's it for PPLC.
Thank you, Nick. Our next buckets of work is our CIWP 4 strategy: social emotional learning, multi-tier systems of support, student voice and engagement, and our 4th one is curriculum. As was shared at our last 2 LSC meetings, these are our continued CIWP strategies. What has changed is the resources that our team felt is needed. So our HEART team worked on the resources needed. For example, for strategy 1, social emotional learning. As a team, we identified professional development will be explored and offered to staff around supporting students' SEL needs. Staff will be participating in responsive classroom training. In addition, we will identify an SEL curriculum to implement from pre-K through 8th. Strategy 2, multi-tiered systems of support. What has changed is our resources needed. We will have a full-time instructional core position to support school-wide interventions. This position is paid for and funded by the district. We have sent DL teachers to trainings on foundations and will continue to send staff to ensure appropriate staff is trained. We will continue to use our GLT meetings to monitor interventions, as well as meet as an MTSS team monthly to review interventions. In addition, we will purchase additional teaching materials to support with interventions for the next school year. Strategy 3, student voice and engagement. We use extended day buckets for staff to facilitate clubs and after-school programs such as debate, battle of the books, student council, etc. We apply and have received for 3 years the OST grant. We incorporate field trips into learning for differentiated and real-world experience. And I will share that we also have applied for OST grant for the summer, which you'll hear more about shortly. Strategy for curriculum. We will continue to purchase culturally relevant texts for students and for teachers to support IB units of inquiry. We will provide teachers and staff with training on diversity, equity, bias, and inclusion through the CPS Office of Equity. There is a training scheduled for the end of the school year in June. We will need to purchase professional development through Envision, which we've already voted on and in the process of getting to support the implementation of our new school-wide math curriculum in K through 8th grade. We have a grant with Northwestern and pay a fee annually to facilitate our Fuse Lab and design program. We have sub buckets to support class visits and instructional rounds. We also have extended buckets to utilize for planning and to support teachers' professional development, such as book clubs. Budget updates. So I know that this is number 7 on our agenda. It's also part of my principal report. So today we are asking for approval to move funds. So there are funds that were on a pointer position line for payroll in an excessive amount of $100K. We would like to allocate these funds toward every classroom teacher and grade level team to have $5K to spend on curriculum needs, including our specialists and our diverse learner teaching teams, to spend on classroom materials and technology. In doing this, I'm asking the council to vote in support of this tonight. We will no longer lead a supply list or the kits. This will help us get to the equity that every student will have the supplies they need at the beginning of the school year, because the classroom teachers will meet as teams to decide what classroom supplies need to be purchased with these funds that we were able to roll over from payroll. Also, today I learned not only from that payroll line, there was money from benefits from a 5th grade teacher who left at the end of the year last year. Those benefit lines that I was able to recoup today totaled amount of $50K. We are recommending that the funds be allocated toward curriculum resources and our online subscriptions. If you remember, in last year's budget, we used the $25K to fund student digital subscriptions. We are asking to use this money because that money is used to fund the Envision math curriculum this year. And then there is $9K transferred for security that we would like to be transferred to allocate for office supplies and materials to be spent on copy paper, ink, and things we need school-wide. These are our expenditures for the month of April. As you can see, we spent our money for administrative workshop, a teacher IB workshop, the internal accounts and book transfers for text and supplies, the classroom materials that teachers have used came to a total of $38,554.83. We created a PO to cover our JCC after school program. All of this was already voted on prior, but we're just showing how the money was spent and what month it came out. And it totals $90,179.83. What's to come? Envision Math professional development for staff in June for the school year 23 for K through 8 staff. We're working on finalizing our lunch and recess contract with Right at School and for our after school program. We are continuing to work with staff to select a school-wide SEL curriculum after we had a visit, as you just heard, from our Network for SEL instructional support leader on yesterday, as well as at the April meeting. Chief Clay joined us for network support as we did a staff survey on our SEL and looked toward adopting a school-wide SEL curriculum. We have submitted a proposal for OST, which stands for out of school time, activities that support enrichment and unfinished learning for the summer, and we are waiting to hear back if it is approved. More information to come, and we will continue to review and update our CIWP priorities with the CIW team and finalize by June 1st, 2022. We just shared the resources. That is the only thing that was updated, but we want to give an opportunity for our community members on the team to meet with us as well as the staff to just review and see if you guys have any feedback, any updates that you would like to share before we finalize it, and we can vote on that at the June 1st meeting. Principal competencies, continuous improvement for staff and students. For the month of April, I conducted classroom pop-ins and developed actionable steps to address the budget spend down for end of year by engaging various stakeholders for suggestions, which include our team members and other staff members, as well as members of the LSC Budget Committee. Powerful professional learning. We plan PD for staff during weekly grade level team meetings and upcoming staff development for our end of the year professional staff development day. We attended IB training for administrators. And also I have attended monthly PLCs for administrators with the fund that I attend every month. And that stipend will help to fund our stipend for our ILT team, as well as network for ISL and administrative meetings required by the district. College and career readiness. I'm sorry, the print is so little. I can't see it. The principal supported staff with SEL support through our grade level team meetings as well as our ILT meetings. Also, I developed PDs to effectively engage staff in using tools that addresses our students' social emotional skills and learning to support their learning environments. Also, college and career readiness was shared in our counselor report. Families and communities. I engaged communities in discussions regarding updating our CIWP. I have met with community members to address our classroom 5th grade, specifically for next year, which you'll hear me talk about shortly with some updates, and through publishing bi-monthly community blasts, as well as developing a principal report and presenting it at the LSC meetings, as well as a FOT principal report. Self-discipline thinking and action. I have continued with my monthly CPS mentor, as well as coach training and meetings. I meet with the chief and the deputy chief on a weekly basis to reflect on leadership skills and growth areas, as well as I continue to receive support from the Department of Principal Quality. Questions and discussions, and I would like to make motions to approve those budget items. If you can go back to the budget slide, leave that up, Rebecca, and we can take questions.
So can I just ask for clarification, for these budget updates and the money that's being transferred? One, I think it's great that we would be able to pay for classroom materials. I think in terms of the equity piece and not having students to buy their own or all of that in the beginning of the year would be great. But my question is this money that we could be saving in case we need to pay for a position in the fall? Or is this money that needs to be spent now and this is how we're deciding to spend it?
This is all money. Thank you, Kate. That's a great question. This is all money that is from our budget from this current school year and must be spent by May 27th. We want to get this voted on today. If this is voted on and approved today, during tomorrow's grade level team meeting, we will announce to the staff that they will work in grade level teams to decide what every grade level and student needs and to allocate that money to get to that equity piece. Also, there'll be no more ordering those school kits to the school, and there will also be no need for a supply list. As well as we also came up with a plan to think strategically to plan. We will still charge we will still have the 150 school fee that will help support buying ongoing supplies if in the middle of the year the teacher still needs things such as supplies, materials, and technology.
Great.
Hand raised.
I also want to share the technology request with the 100K. We will be sending out a staff survey to see the supports that will be for staff technology, as well as some of our digital and online subscriptions. But the district this year will fund student technology. So I do want to share that with you guys.
Are we doing the budget part now, or because I have questions for everything as always. So are we talking about the vote right now, or are we just still talking about the updates on the principal report?
Right now, we're in the principal report, Lauren.
Sweet.
I know that Principal Gibson did make a mention to a motion. Principal Gibson, I'll just want to clarify if you want to make that motion. If that motion, if that motion should be made in the principal report, or is that more of an appropriate motion for our discussion?
I can do that to the discussion.
Well, I have questions about this, and I like it that the slide is up because it's the exact slide I wanted. All right, so when we're talking about funds, and of course, I'm not going to pretend, I got a whole thing for diverse learners, they're my people. What is it when you're saying that you're going to spend that much money for including specialist and diverse learner team? What does that really mean? Where is that money going, and who decides how that money is spent for diverse learners?
So for diverse learners, it'll be all of the special education teachers as well as the case manager. And to give you an example, they would have 5,000 each. So as a team, they would decide, not each, but as each team.
Yeah.
The team would decide. So there has been struggles with having such as noise canceling headphones for students.
Oh, I know.
We know what their students need. So to buy that, and we don't want to leave specialists out. Like every specialist doesn't need 5,000, but as a team, they can decide what their team needs. They would meet over the next week and decide what their team needs and submit it to us by next week, just so we can make sure that there's nothing that we won't give board approval to spend. And then that way we can start to not overwhelm our clerk. She can start putting in these orders starting as early as Thursday of next week, and then still have that extra week as backup just in case. We just have to put in the POs. We don't have to actually receive the merchandise, but it has to all be put in by May 27th. Which is the deadline.
I love that. And for parents who are listening and don't understand, there's lots of things sometimes in IEPs, like what she said, noise canceling headphones. If you've ever been in our auditorium, when everybody's in there, it's incredibly loud for music class or all things like that. And there's so many things that I have seen over the years of having diverse learners in the school that the teachers are spending their own money on. So I love the idea of that, having that. So I just wanted to make sure that the people who are actually getting are going to get that. Does this mean we are no longer going to have that epic shopping list? So that means parents will not have to be at Target on the night before school. Not that I've ever done that or anything, but so no more shopping lists. So we're going to be one of those schools where everything is all set. People are going to walk in ready to go without hauling in, 800 things of Clorox wipes.
Yes, and that's going to help us get to the equity.
Amen. Love it. Okay, next. I just want to call out, Heather, lock training. I love the idea that you're teaching kids because we don't have lockers in our schools, and opening up a lock is challenging. So thank you I like that. To me, it seems like you're just thinking of some of those little things that'll make a huge difference. All right, next. I also had some people have emailed me that were not able to be at the meeting and they wanted me to bring up a few things. And so you kind of touched on it in your principal report. I think the JCC just kind of sent out a bomb and told all the parents that they're not coming back next year and has caused a panic. So have we signed the contract? Are we for sure going with Right at School? And then the questions that were sent to me were, what will the aftercare look like? When will parents know about what's happening, when they can sign up, what the pricing will be? So that's the first question. So who do we for sure know who's our new aftercare and all that? And when will parents be informed of pricing, availability, signing up, etc.? That's that first question.
Okay, so as you know, JS School dropped the bomb that there's no longer after school program. Prior to this, we had already made a decision not to go with JS School. So it was voted on by the council last month that we would have a partnership with Right at School. The contract process is a longer process. We do have a negotiated rate for the lunch and recess. I am meeting with Right at School representatives next week to talk about promotion, the after school care, what grade levels it will be. We're pushing for pre-K through 8th, which is something different, to go along with our full day pre-K to have wraparound care for our parents. And soon as we finalize the meetings next week and get everything done, that following week, the week of the 27th, we'd like to share information with families. But I don't want to ill speak before meeting with our partners, our new partners.
So parents will be getting all those updates, but it's not like we're going to start September without after school care. So you feel confident that it's going to move forward. Awesome. Again, for those who don't, they sent out, J School sent us this email, which was not very fair because I think that did cause a lot of unnecessary panic. Will the admin be doing grade level meetings with families about next year? So will there be like, when will we find out what classrooms, what teachers, will there be meetings that happen, and things like that? And that's another parent sent in question.
So parents will not find out till the fall to who their new teacher in class is, and that's because we're still figuring things out and we're trying to do enrollment, and we want to make sure that if there's things that need to be shifted, we shift it so all students get the supports as well as staff that they need to be successful. So parents will find out in the fall.
Leans into how are we looking in enrollment from the fall? I know the lottery results came out last week. How are we looking for people who have accepted our school as their new home?
So that's a great question. Families have accepted, but they haven't came in for enrollment. So I do want to send a shout out to our clerk, Ms. Warden and Charlotte, for posting it. We do have a schedule till they officially come in and enroll. I don't want to say any numbers. So no one has came in and enrolled besides our kindergarten students. We're starting the enrollment for the other grade levels starting next week. So I'll be able to update you probably on the June 1st meeting with that question.
And were we able to send out, welcome, you've been accepted, here's all the information.
Yes.
So those letters did go out.
Yes, they
So we
did.
have that.
Went out to
Awesome. Is that everybody? I think that may be. Oh, so I'd also like an update on there was the announcement about moving, what was it, the next year is like 4th and 5th grade into one classroom. And I know there was some meetings about that. Is there any updates on if we're going to really be moving those two down to one classroom?
So that was already voted on by LSC and supported by our network chief based off our numbers in April. What we are doing now is I would like to share the updates with you. Also, I believe there was a follow-up. Nick asked the question, will we have to wait till the 20th day? How would they allocate funds? So I had a meeting with our chiefs today, this morning, so I could give you an update on that. There's various things. If we have at least 50 students to enroll, that can impact us having 1 or 2 classrooms. If we have 50 more students, then we're able to allocate another teacher that's across the school, as well as if we have at least 5 5th graders. And we've had 20, I want to say it was 23 offers that went out to 5th grade. If at least 5 of them accept, that puts us at the 37 rule. Any classroom over 36, we're able to request another room be opened up. But again, we will have to wait till that 20th day. Another thing is some of the parents I met with are willing to write letters to the district and the network. And I also researched and found out there's a CPS CTU overcrowded committee. That is another route for us to appeal to. Or if one of the students who accept, if one more student comes to 5th grade with an IEP, we're over the 70-30. So those are 3 different avenues that we are looking to appeal so we can ensure that our students and our staffs have what they need and that we open that second classroom. So that is something that we're consistently working on. It's a passion of mine. It's something that has strongly been bothering not only me, but our parent community, as well as our staff have been real supportive. I did meet with some members of our clinician team as well as the case manager to just try to brainstorm some ideas of what we can do over these next few weeks.
Lori, was that all for your questions?
Probably not, but I see Kate's hand up, so I'm going to keep going through my Post-it notes. And then, Kate, I know you have your hand up.
So I think I just have some questions on the per pupil budgeting. The way I understand it is based on how many students you have, you get a certain pot of money. So I guess my fear is that we get like 5 or 6 more 5th graders, that we open up the second classroom because we need to, because we're at 37. But then we've only got 5 more students that bring that per pupil money with them. And that we're going to have to figure out how to pull from staff salaries somewhere else to make up for that whole teacher, because like getting 5 more students won't pay for that entire new position that we need. And so I guess I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. If we did get 5 more 5th graders, it made it that we opened up the second classroom. Or if we got 1 more kid in 5th grade that had an IEP, so we had to open that second classroom, wouldn't we still have to figure out where that money came for that entire position from somewhere else in the budget? And wouldn't that maybe cause some problems with the budget that we've created otherwise with all of the money that we're counting on?
So Kate, the answer to that question is no. That money would be funded by the district. They would have to reallocate more money per pupil. CPS would have to fund it. So CPS will fund these positions. So one, if we do an appeal to the overcrowded classroom through the CPS CTU, they look at the numbers, they would have to say, yes, we'll fund a position, or no, which means they'll allocate more money to fund that position. It's not us. We can't go anywhere else in the budget, So these positions, we would need the district to fund. That's why some of the parents have agreed to write letters to appeal to the district to fund the position.
This was a really big topic last night at our Tubman Inclusive Education Supporters, because there are a lot of IEPs in those classrooms. So we're talking about also how does that affect when you're talking about inclusion and in classrooms and making it equitable to put all of those kids, 2 kids in a wheelchair, multiple IEPs into one space. It's no longer equity, it's no longer inclusion. And the parents are very motivated. And I know that I had asked, we were planning on making like a statement if they wanted to put themselves on screen, because I know there's parents here tonight that do either want to talk during public participation and have signed up, or who are just here to show their support for making sure that we stay with the 2 classes. And there is talk about, is it going to become a point where our school hasn't had to, in my opinion, and what I've heard is that we haven't fundraised for positions as much as other schools have. And this year I know I really, I've always say I'm very grateful to our community for how much we fundraise, and that we will be fundraising for restorative practices person, the ELA person, but that might be something we'd have to look to in the future, especially as enrollment goes down. And that's not necessarily just our school. We know that this is happening. And if you look at the numbers, people are leaving CPS, teachers are leaving CPS, people are going to the suburbs, they're leaving the state. They're just kind of done with all of it. And so if CPS and the unelected school board are not going to start distributing the funds that they're sitting upon or doing that kind of work, we are going to see different ways that we're going to have to support our schools. But I also want to say, if you know anybody who's on the fence about accepting their lottery position, you might want to push them a little bit because we're awesome.
Thank you, Lori. Any additional questions or comments on the printer bill report? Okay, well, thank you, Principal Gibson. So that will take us into our second part of the agenda, which is the conversation about the budget. Earlier today, the budget document was shared, and I will pass this back over to Principal Gibson to kind of walk us through where we're at.
Can someone put the budget slide back up? I just want to share with our internal accounts and our audit. I wanted to give an update. We only have 5 outstanding items on our internal accounts that we still are working on. But on our budget updates, we need to make these transfers so we don't lose this money. All 3 of these are money that we will lose. Again, from our position pointer line, we need to transfer $100K to allocate the funds for grade level curriculum needs decided by the teachers, the specialists, and diverse learner team, classroom materials and technology. We would like to motion that $50K be transferred from this budget number, which is on our pointer benefits line, to fund curriculum resources and our online subscriptions that normally was funded by the Cubs Care Charity. And then the $9K that is under security transferred from line 1155740 to fund office supplies and materials school-wide, such as copy paper, ink, pencils, things we need, Kleenex, tissue.
I motion to approve the budget transfers.
I'll second.
I'm not sure where Sarah is. If there's any other discussion, or do we want to vote? Okay, all in favor?
I think that was unanimous. I counted 10, so I think that's unanimous.
Are you able to hear me?
We heard you ask if we could hear you, and we could.
Okay. Okay. Can you
I
hear
hear
me
you.
now?
I hear you, Sarah. You're here.
I don't know what happened. I apologize. That vote looks like it was unanimous. Let me know if you can't hear me, because I can clearly hear you, but I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. I apologize.
Sorry.
You can hear me now?
You just thought I was stealing the meeting for you for no reason.
Okay. I mean, once again, I didn't know that. I didn't know on my end you couldn't hear me at all. So I was just like, okay. But then you made it known. All right. So, okay. Thank you. Just let me know if I'm here. I'm here. So that vote's unanimous. The budget transfer has been approved. Thank you, everyone. And I did get a chance to check in with Patty. Can you hear me now? Just want to make sure. Okay. I did get a chance to check in with Patty about any fundraising updates or proposals that have been submitted. Principal Gibson, I don't know if you've received any additional proposals for fundraising, but I don't believe we have any proposals to vote on in today's meeting at this point. So just clarify or let me know if I'm incorrect or correct about that. Principal Gibson. you're still,
As far as I know, we don't have anything to vote on tonight.
okay, great, thank you. All right, so now we're moving into our public participation portion, and Mac, I'll give it over to you.
Did we have any signups for public participation today?
We do, Mac. We have 3 public participants.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm going to read really quick, but then I got to run just for a second. I got to grab something. Members of the public are welcome to make comments and ask questions, but they must sign in to participate. The public is called upon to speak in the order they sign in. The public is kindly requested to limit their comments and questions to 3 minutes. Based on the comments or questions, the principal may address some concerns directly and, if necessary, create an action step for the LSC to follow with the involved parties at a future date. While the LSC will do its best to address any comments or concerns, when necessary, more time may be needed to adequately address a particular concern. And I'm sorry, just for this first one, can someone else time the 3 minutes? I'll be back in just a second.
I'll go ahead and time it. Thank you, Mac. And Nick, go ahead and let us know who is.
Yeah, our first public participant is Karen Bausiedler. Karen.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Number 1, I just want to say thank you so much. Sorry for my background. Thank you so much to Principal Gibson for hearing us, and us meaning the 4th grade parents who she responded to our email late at night and gave us an opportunity to speak with her right away as soon as she understood how concerned we were about potential 1 class for the incoming 5th grade class. What the numbers don't tell you, I want to tell this to the LSC, what the numbers don't tell you about this very incredible special class is that it's not about just 37 people in a classroom. It is a group of students who are so special and have learned so much by being in an inclusive environment and have grown so much as incredible students and Tubman ambassadors for our world, that if they're smushed into 1 classroom and then potentially becoming a de facto pull-out classroom setting for many students, it defeats the purpose of what we believe in when it comes to inclusive education. And so I want to make sure that the council hears how important this is and that the parents are here to help partner with you all in terms of strategies, and that we are also very mindful of the 70-30 ratio and what that will look like on day 1. And we will write the letters. I will host a letter rating party. I will advocate to CPS. I will advocate to our state legislators. But these are critical pieces, and I don't feel like the building block is just like, oh, it's just a 5th grade thing. It's going to continue into middle school. And so we want to do everything we can to partner with you all to solve this piece. And I just thank you all for being so problem-solving oriented. And one last thing I will say is, Principal Gibson, you kind of being so proactive and trying to take every single step you can to solve this means so much. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate you hearing us. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Up next is Jessica Ittner. Jessica.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Thank you to the LSC for the opportunity to speak to the Tubman community this evening. My name is Jessica, and I have a 4th grader at Tubman. We entered during her 2nd grade year. I'm speaking tonight about the plans to combine the 2 4th grade classrooms, 207 and 208, into 1 classroom next year for 5th grade. Right now, it looks like that single classroom will have 32 students. This looks reasonable on paper. Not ideal, but I understand this plan as our school is facing significant budget cuts this year. Principal Gibson, I don't envy your position or how these decisions must be made. However, as Karen spoke to, the rising 5th grade class is unique. It's unique in many ways, but we have a large number of students with IEPs and 504s in the class. Next year, if all IEPs remain as they are now, and we continue to honor each student's right to a free and appropriate public education, that will mean 32 students, 1 gen ed teacher, 2 special education teachers, and 3 paras in the classroom. How does co-teaching and inclusion work in that environment? My daughter has had a great experience at Tubman. I can tell the children in this grade have grown up with peers with a variety of disabilities. For the first time, she's a member of her school community. Our children, all of our children, have benefited from inclusion. Inclusive communities don't happen at every school. Please, let's do everything we can to continue this model. I don't believe the current plan is fair to our teachers, our paraprofessionals, or our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Our next public participant is Gia Super. Gia?
Good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for having me. I'll take this off while I talk. I'm here to talk about the same issue as you can imagine. My daughter Asha is in 4th grade and I'm really happy to be organizing with Lori through TIES and all the other parents, and also with Jess and with Karen on this issue of the rising 5th grade. And I just want to echo everything that people have said up to this point and read a little bit from what the email that we sent to Principal Gibson that kind of got her attention, because we are really worried. And I don't want to wait till the 20th day to rectify this situation. And I worked in CPS for a decade. I don't want to be looking for a teacher in the end of September. And so we are very, very committed to doing whatever we need to do to make sure there are 2 5th grade rooms, including budget appeals, including recruitment and stepping it up, including fundraising. And if we need to independently pay for this teacher, we're going to figure out a way to do it. We really are also committed to using whatever our parental rights are in special education through mediation or whatever it needs to be to make sure that there are 2 teachers in that grade level for all the reasons that have already been said. Principal Gibson has been very responsive and understanding about these concerns, but I just wanted to share that with the council because this is not a typical situation. And my daughter's a wheelchair user, and I can tell you that she and some of the other kids in the room will be, this is just the way it goes. They will be the first to be sort of shuttled to another space because they take up too much room. And that's our reality. And so we need to prevent that from happening, even with the best intentions of a really great staff. Spacious issues are a problem for us. So we're worried that one classroom will not be able to serve all the students, including gen-ed students. We're worried that there will be major space issues with so many adults in a room. We're worried that the diverse learner teacher will be pulled in way too many directions. And we're worried that students will not be able to experience LRE. So we just wanted to let everyone in the council know that this is a really much more important issue than it might have been with another group, but we are absolutely committed to making sure that this goes the right way, and just let us know what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Gia. That concludes our public participation.
Thank you. Are there any comments you want to provide in response to public participation at this point in time?
Yes, I would like to just say, for those of you who know me, I've spent my whole career, my whole teaching career in special ed. Not only have I been an assistant, a teacher in special education in my years at CPS, but I am the parent of 2 special needs children, one with autism and a child who is currently disabled and has been in a wheelchair herself. I just want to say to Karen, Jessica, and Gia, this isn't your fight or my fight alone. And I agree with you. I don't want to just wait. I had to share the district's response to that question, which is the 20th day. I suggest we start writing letters, but even more importantly, the fundraising. If we raise the funds, we can just fund the position ourselves. And then thinking about raising funds so we can always have money to fund positions for smaller classroom sizes, so we can get to the inclusion classrooms that our students deserve, our staff deserves. It was a very, very tough decision, and it wasn't made lightly. And I've already been looking into ways to try to mediate that. And I would love parent support, as well as the LSC Council, as well as our FOT, to figure this out together. So please let me know if you guys have time next week to have a meeting. I would love to sit down talk, brainstorm, invite some of our clinician team members and other staff members who want to support, and thinking of ways where we can open up a second classroom. That is my hope and support. I've been in just one of the fourth grade classrooms with 4 adults in it, and I saw the environment I've observed the last 2 weeks. And again, we can't just look at numbers. We have to look at what's best for kids. I always approach what's best for kids. And unfortunately, it's out of my control to have 2 classrooms right now, but I am willing to do fundraisers and support in whatever way possible. And just know that this is a Tubman team effort. And thank you guys.
All right, I see a couple hands raised. I'm just trying to, Lori?
I think I can confidently say with Gia and Jessica and Karen, everybody on there, that TIES will happily co-sponsor and help organize the meeting that you just described with clinicians and case manager, yourself, and all of that. I also want to say, as a parent to 3 diverse learners, I've been through this with CPS before. I've been doing it for years. Canyon came from Beard School, which was 100% removal from general education, and CPS would try to cut their funds all the time. And for those of you who don't know, CPS has criminally cut funding for special education. We ourselves got a huge settlement because of what they had done, not at when it was Agassiz or Tubman, but actually at Hamilton. So there is a ways to fight back, and I know that fundraising seems like, okay, we're going to start fundraising, but I also want to strongly say the schools that fight usually get the money. Every time I've been in the fight, and when we go to the press, we win. And when parents stand up, we win. And so for the parents who feel like this doesn't affect you or it won't affect your child, it will in some way. And who we are as a community and the kind and empathetic and really awesome kids that we have will fight with us. So I just really want to say that, is that I hope people understand that when these kind of cuts happen, what we allow is what's going to continue. And if we just sit there and say, okay, we have the means and we raise the money and we can do it, they're just going to keep doing it. And so we need to really fight back. And if it's going to the media, we have all the media people. And our school is very popular with the media because of our name change and because of how awesome we are. So I just really want to encourage people to join the fight. And it's kind of fun sometimes. I will tell you, it can be fun. And when you put your boots on the ground, you feel more powerful, because so many times as CPS parents, we feel powerless. And when you actually get out there and do the work and stand up and fight, you feel really good. And your kids see it and your teachers see it and they know. So we would happily help organize that and make this the movement that it deserves to be.
Thank you, Lori. So you've got some, you're not alone in that. In the chat, I've seen some comments in the chat. Kate, I see your hand.
I just wanted to say, I think I really appreciate all the parents who spoke today. And I think that when we talked about the budget last month, I think a lot of us were not aware of how special those 4th grade classrooms were and what a great inclusive environment it was, and just kind of the makeup of those 4th grade classrooms. So I really appreciate everyone coming to talk to us about this, because I think that we weren't fully aware of what we were agreeing to. So I really appreciate everyone's advocacy. I think it's really important that we are fighting for this in every way that we can, because I think it's really important. The one thing that I will say is that having been a big part of FOT, seeing how hard it has been in the past to raise $100,000 or $120,000, it is a big lift, and it's a big lift from a smaller school community than we had 4 or 5 years ago when I was helping do it. And so I think, yes, we fundraise, yes, we do all this, but then I also think, do we need to have, like, looking back at the overall budget, do we need to maybe look at some of the priorities that we've set out and that monies we've put aside for other things that maybe we need to say, if we have to, we would prioritize this over that. I think everything that Principal Gibson laid out in the budget, I think all of us thought were priorities. I think the restorative justice position is really important for the school in general, but we may have to have some hard discussions about which one of those is a priority if in the end we can't do both. I just have some, I mean, I just am always the hope for the best, plan for the worst. And I just think we may have to have some discussions about what it looks like, because in the past, we've never used FOT funds to fund positions unless it was like crazy budget cuts that came out of nowhere and it would have been really disruptive to the school environment. And I think this year, because of the cuts we're expecting, we're already using FOT funds. And I just, from a big picture perspective, am concerned about having too many of our positions to be from fundraising, because then it becomes really hard to make it be the standard that moves forward. So I think we need to do all of these things at once, but I think there may be some discussions about difficult choices that lay ahead of us if we can't get everything that our kids need at once, and which one is the priority if we can't do everything. And I just want to say that.
Thank you, Kate. Any additional comments around public participation? So make sure folks can hear me. Can folks hear me?
Yep.
We hear you.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. So we're winding it down. Cindy, I'm going to ask if you identified any action items or next step we need to make sure we follow up on for our next meeting in June. I have a couple, but I just want to see, just to affirm that with you, action items and next steps. Thanks, Cindy.
For the June meeting, I think we want to see if we can answer if we're going to have a contract with our after school program. And I think also in our June meeting, we're going to want some more information and answers about our rising fifth graders. Did you have something else?
Yeah, I just, in partnership with that bullet you mentioned, I noted that there was a call for a meeting about the rising fifth grader. I don't know, Principal Gibson, if we wanted to have them before the June meeting, we can have a convening of sorts.
Yes, I suggested we have a meeting to explore all options, and fundraising just doesn't have to be FOT raising money. Fundraising can be getting money from our elected officials, as such as Gia shared in her email to me, is multiple things. And I just want to make sure that that's expressed. So we want to look at all avenues for the fifth grade class. What can we do on our half to try to work? We worked with the budget we had, we were given, and there were multiple cuts in it. So we're just looking for avenues to find a way to fund the position to open up another classroom. I think that's a priority that I hear from the school administration and from our families. So I think working together, we can schedule a meeting, and I asked as early as next week with the parents who spoke today, as well as anyone who wants to join us in this fight, as Lori said.
All right, thank you.
How should we go about organizing that meeting? Are you going to send that out? I'm
I
volunteering.
think because our clinicians are here on different days, I can speak to them on Friday when it's our team day and see the day that they will be here. And then I can loop with you, Lori, by Tuesday, at the latest by Tuesday.
All right. So Jessica, Gia, and I are do all like scheduling ties, and I know they're also involved with the meeting with the actual parents. So we would be a great resource then to help you get that all together.
Thank you.
Great.
I think that's it.
Thank you, Cindy. All right, very good. So our next meeting date is June 1st at 6 p.m. It will be virtual unless otherwise notified. But unless we have anything else on the floor, which I do not believe we have because we go by the agenda, I will call or ask for someone to motion to adjourn the meeting.
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. A second?
I second.
Thank you, President Wilkinson. Vote on the motion. And that vote looks unanimous. It's 7:21 p.m. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, feedback, and just how we lean in together. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye from my deck.